Alright, now I'm just going to give you a bit of a fair warning right off the bat. A lot of this is going to be me kind of spitballing. There's not incredibly good evidence for what I'm going to be talking about today. In fact, there's barely any evidence. There's a little few things that's just making me think something. So I just want to make that very, very clear right away. This is not a theory built on a lot of compelling evidence. Just a thought process I had from what I played in Secret of the Mimic. That's all this is. So don't get mad at me if I'm not selling you on evidence here, because I know that. It is not an evidence-backed theory, just a pure vibes thing. So with that said, I'm gonna go kind of where it started. 2023. I played Ruin for the first time. Not on video, I don't think I had a powerful enough computer to record it back then, but I played Ruin, and at the end of the Ruin, we got introduced to the Mimic. Or we got introduced to some kind of endoskeleton. I had not read the books, so I had no idea who the fuck this was. But my reaction to seeing this character was, holy shit, we got a new character. I'm so excited to see what they do with you in the future. Because it was right at the end of Ruin, right at the end of DLC. DLC is post-launch content. When a Five Nights at Freddy's game has post-launch content that just drops something new out of nowhere, it really gives off teaser for the future vibes. So I really took that as, oh, this is something cool to be expanded on later. However, I was then spent some time in the community and realized, oh, this was a book character. So then I read the books. And I'm not going to make my own dedicated video based on the books, so I might as well give my quick overview here. I actually liked them. I actually think the books are overhated. I genuinely enjoyed my time reading through all the books. I read the novels, I read Phasma Frights, I read Tales, and since then I've now also read the interactive novels. I think people hate the books too much. I think they're great little side things. I think a big chunk of their hate comes from people trying to use them for lore when they don't really fit in with the lore. And I'll be honest, I was a victim of that too. I did that too earlier on. I will be honest. But that's in the past now. Back to the Mimic. I read the Mimic story, and it was yeah, it gave him a backstory, but the epilogues didn't really flesh it out all that much. It was just kind of, oh, he's the Mimic. I mean, to be fair, it fleshed him out a hell of a lot more than Ruin did. Ruin did absolutely nothing to explain the character in any way at all. But the epilogues are kind of just oh, it's the Mimic. Whoa, the Mimic is messing with nearby electronics. Whoa, the Mimic is ripping off heads, arms, and legs. Wow, the Mimic is in costumes. And it's mimicking voices. Wow. It the Mimic. And then it get, messed up because it got put in a Springlock suit and died. That's kind of Tails' Mimic. And even after reading that, I felt like something was missing. Because there was other big other big lore reveals in Tails, which kind of heavily implied, that Glitch Trap and Burn Trap were the Mimic, at least in Tails. And since Mimic is now in Ruin, I kind of took that as oh, this is probably where the game story is going from here. It's going to reveal that Glitch Trap and Burn Trap are the Mimic, and it's actually this guy who's been the main villain the entire time. And this guy now, in his true form, is going to be the main villain going forward. And we're going to learn about it in the next game. The next game, to be fair, was Help Wanted 2 and didn't really give us anything to work with in a lore sense. Look, that game was really, really fun. But I don't think anyone just cares about the lore of Help Wanted 2, at all. There was barely anything there. But then the actual big swing came out, Secret of the Mimic. And when that was announced, I think I actually got my reaction to this, but I was really, really excited to learn about the Mimic. Secret of the... We're getting Mimic lore in the games! Because Mimic was such an interesting character, because it felt like they were setting him up to be the main villain. But even in the books, they never really established why it was the main villain. I mean, it was a threat, for sure, but I mean, kind of in the same sense that Bonnie is a threat. It kills people. That's about it. We don't really know. I mean, we can assume why from the books, because it was beaten up by Edwin and it kind of learned violence from the agony of the attack. But it kind of just became violent from being beaten up, and that's just kind of it. It kills people, and there's no real bigger goal to it. But if it was the main villain, you'd have to have a bigger goal. So I was really excited to learn what that was in Secret of the Mimic, and then Secret of the Mimic came out, and it never gave us one. I was a little bit disappointed. Now, at the very least, Secret of the Mimic gave us a bit of fun bits about its personality. It retold the Mimic's backstory in a way that's better than the book version, at least in my opinion. And yeah, it just made the Mimic genuinely a little bit of a better character, but it didn't do the one thing that I was really wanting it to do. it didn't give us a why this thing is the main villain. It didn't give it a big impact on the story as a whole. Because the thing with William Afton is what made him feel like a main villain to me is that he had a legacy. It wasn't just him. The people he killed became threats of their own. He created threats that would live on after his death. He left a mark on this series that would stay there even after he died. And still there, like, even to this day, every game still ties back to William Afton to date. William Afton is such a big force in the series, has leaves such a big impact. Now the Mimic, I mean, as a glitch trap, it was messing with everything in the Pizzaplex systems, and it was kind of like a big deal there, but then the glitch trap was defeated. So now what? What's up to the Mimic? What's the Mimic doing now? What is it trying to do? Got a goal? Is it gonna do anything that would last after it dies? Like, if we defeat the Mimic next game, what's left? So it kind of never felt like a main villain, felt almost like a minor one. And Secret of the Mimic didn't really help that. But what Secret of the Mimic did do was tell us that the Mimic was M2, a pale copy of M1. And for M1, they established a goal. She wants to bring back her family, and she says M to her son. And she established that she's willing to kill for that goal because she tries to have Arnold killed in R&D for disobeying her. So, to me, big alarm bells started ringing. This is our new main villain. Early setup. For everyone else, they just saw her be nice and were kind of like, oh yeah, this is the good Mimic. But no, she tries to have us killed. I ain't buying that shit. She's evil. A good character does not try to have us killed for disobeying. A good character tries to work with us and try to, like, it starts with trying to reason with us first, at least. She just went straight for deception and then guns blazing, trying to kill us. Well, I guess she couldn't kill us, so she just locked us in a room, hoping the Mimic would kill us. That's still bad. I'm sorry. But M1 is not the good Mimic. M1's evil, and I stand by that. At least, that's the vibe I have. So then there's the follow-up to this. Why would they introduce a new, original Mimic over properly fleshing out the original? And in my opinion, is because they're setting up the next villain. I think that the Mimic M2 was fleshed out as much as it could be in Secret of the Mimic. Like, the entire game was about M2. You're up against M2 the entire game. It was a one-on-one boss fight, and it showed its abilities on full force, right? It showed everything it could do. All that's left now, I think, is the climax of the M2 story. I think the next game will be, once again, the M2 in full glory, trying to kill us, maybe with one extra twist that makes it a bigger threat than it was in the past, and then we'll defeat it. I think that's how the next game will be, and I think most people get the impression after Secret of the Mimic that the next game should be M2's defeat. But then M1 was also introduced, and it got me thinking, if we think about it, you have Glitch Trap first. It started off with Glitch Trap. Glitch Trap was introduced in Hope Wanted, and this was kind of Glitch Trap's rising action, and then it was fleshed out more in Special Delivery, where it took control of the entire delivery service, and then Security Breach in the main games, when this was kind of like its climax, where you saw how much damage this program could do when it spread across both of these games. And then, you know, you defeated it partially at the end, and then fully defeated it in, like, the falling action in Hope Wanted 2. Around Security Breach, during the Glitch Trap's climax, and I guess Security Breach's DLC, Ruin, you actually still see remnants of Glitch Trap all around the place, sitting there still around. So we know that at this point that Glitch Trap isn't dead, even though if you watch my older videos, I was dumb enough to still think he was. Don't ask how I came away with that impression. I was just a little stupid. Point is, Ruin makes it pretty clear Glitch Trap's still around, despite the fact that the ending that defeated him is the one that was canon. And Hope Wanted 2 eventually does defeat him, but in Ruin, the Mimic M2 is then introduced. So before Glitch Trap was properly defeated, they introduced the new villain that would replace him. And then they defeated Glitch Trap, and then they fleshed out the new villain. M2 is the origin of Glitch Trap, presuming that this Tales of Pizzaplex lore is accurate. So that means that we've kind of escalated from the program to the origin of the program. And if you think about it from that perspective, M1 would be an escalation again. Like, if M1 is the next villain they're setting up in the same way, so you have the Mimic introduced in Ruin, and then properly, like, introduced in a more proper way in, I guess you could probably more accurately say that the Mimic was teased in Ruin, and then properly introduced in Secret of the Mimic. The next game should be its climax, where it has the most damage, can deal the most problems, before we defeat it. Maybe defeating it's a different game, but I think we'll at least soft defeat it in the next game. After the Mimic's defeated, M1 will take the mantle. It feels like she's being set up to be a villain. It'd be the next level in the escalation here. In that way, you can kind of consider the Mimic arc of Five Nights at Freddy's to be split up into 3 mini eras. Each one escalating more than the last, each one having its own rising action, climax, and falling action, and I think M1 is going to be where it ends. So I think M2 will be defeated next game, but I don't think the Mimic arc will be over until M1 is defeated. Now from there I can make even more theories on what M1 is doing, because if M2 is defeated and M1's taking up the mantle as a new main villain, then what, is M1 going to bring back M2? Is it going to be a threat, like we have to stop M1 from bringing back M2? Is she going to succeed? Is that going to be the climax of M1's portion of the story? They're going to be like a whole army of mimics that she's made? She's going to bring back Edward as a mimic? That's something one of my friends kept asking, is like, oh, maybe if she wants to bring back her family, maybe one day she'll bring back Edward as well. Who knows? I think at that point, I'm thinking too many games ahead. But, hope you guys kind of see the vision. This really is just spitballing. There's not a lot of evidence for this. It really isn't. I gotta make that clear one more time. I know there's like no evidence for this. It's pure vibes. But my vibes tell me that M2 is not the main villain of this story. My vibes tell me that we're going to escalate to M1 once we defeat M2, and the Mimic arc will continue after M2 is defeated in the next game. That is what my vibes are telling me, without any evidence. So I guess that's all I have to say. I'm not going to try and draw this out any longer. I think I've already drawn this out too much. I've already repeated myself accidentally like 5 times. Let me know what you guys think about that. Do you think I'm valid in that interpretation? And you guys don't need to be like fully convinced. I get it. There's no evidence. I've said that a million times. But I'm not crazy, right? M1 totally gives off like next villain vibes. And it makes sense to be after M2 is defeated, right? Because of a motivation to bring back her family. And because she'd be an escalation. I think it makes sense. I want you guys to tell me if I'm crazy or not. I need to know. I guess that's why I'm making this video. That's why I'm spitballing, because I want to know what other people think of this idea, and, you know, if I sound too insane for saying this. But that's where I'm going to leave it, and I'll see you next time.